Chinese President Xi Jinping is falling from his pedestal. He is going down with his country's economy. Here's the latest. Today, Hong Kong's leading stock exchange, the Hang Seng, plunged to a 2-week low. Share prices fell for the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, also the country's construction bank. Stock values of China's tech giants fell as well, including Alibaba, Tencent, car maker, also trading in red, with its share prices falling as much as 4%. And as trading closed, the Hang Seng registered a loss of 0.2%. And this downturn was indicative of the economic mess in the mainland. Today, the Beijing Stock Exchange put in place a policy. As per Reuters, this policy stops major shareholders of listed companies from selling their stocks. A major shareholder is anyone who owns at least 5% stake in a company. Quick question here. Why does China not want major shareholders to sell stake? Beijing is afraid of a domino effect, of other shareholders being nudged to liquidate their stake. It's uncertain how long his policy will last. What's certain, though, is that China's economy is on the brink of collapse. Companies are shutting down. Employees are being told to leave. The Alibaba Group has shut down its quantum computing research lab. 30 people have been fired. More jobs across the group on the line. They are calling it restructuring. But we know better than that to take the narrative coming from China on face value. Be it COVID-19, the new mysterious pneumonia, or the mayhem in China's economic sector. Sample this. Alibaba has laid off over 30,000 employees in the previous quarters. And earlier this month, Alibaba cancelled the planned listing of its cloud service division. Data from China's National Bureau of Statistics also showing that profits in Chinese companies have decreased 7.8% in the first 10 months of 2023 as compared to last year. There is a sense of fear and distrust in the air in China. Record number of youths are sitting jobless at home, at least 1 in 5. In June this year, in fact, China's youth unemployment rate reached an unprecedented 21.3%. The data was too embarrassing for Xi Jinping. In August, China decided to suspend the release of these numbers. Chinese youth today are losing faith in the country's economic sector. We saw this over the weekend. 3 million people in China appeared for China's civil service exams. There were nearly 40,000 vacancies, and on an average, 77 candidates appeared for every position. There were exam centers in at least 237 Chinese cities. Chinese youth queued up, deciding to trade fat pay checks for security and apparent stability of government jobs. And we have more indicators of the economic collapse. China's shadow banks are going bankrupt. What are shadow banks, you ask? Shadow banks essentially are a system of lenders, brokers, and other financial intermediaries who fall outside the traditional banking system, meaning that they are exempt from banking regulations. In other words, the risk, liquidity, and capital restrictions that apply to traditional banks do not apply to these shadow banks. In China, shadow banks are a $2.9 trillion sector. They played a key role in building China's real estate sector. The housing sector is now in debt, as we've been telling you, and these shadow banks also are declaring insolvency. Case in point, Zhongxi Enterprise Group. It is one of China's largest shadow banks. It has lent billions, in fact, to the real estate sector. Zhongxi has declared severe insolvency. The bank, in fact, wrote a letter to its investors. It claims its liabilities stand at $64 billion and outstrips its assets, which is estimated to be around $38 billion. The bank attributes the deficit to internal management issues. And China is now investigating this bank. Beijing has not said which officials are under scrutiny and what role they play in the crisis. What we do know is that Zhongxi's founder, Xie Zikun, died of a heart attack in the year 2021. So he surely is not to be blamed. Now, how much role has the Chinese President Xi Jinping played in bringing China's economy to its knees? Ever since Xi Jinping came to power, he became obsessed with changing the status quo of the industrial sector. You could almost say that he was obsessed about shaking things up. He went after the tech sector, he cracked down on the housing sector, went after developers, and this triggered a domino effect. According to Bloomberg figures, home prices in China's Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities have fallen by at least 15%. Local governments were affected. In 1994, China implemented a tax-sharing reform, and this diverted more revenue sources to the central government. Since then, municipalities relied heavily on land sales. It accounted for 1/3 of their income. With the collapse of the property sector, local governments had to resort to borrowing from LGFVs or local government financing vehicles. Goldman Sachs estimating that China's local government debt has reached $23 trillion. Let me repeat that for you. $23 trillion. School teachers have felt the pinch. Their salaries have been cut. Same with civil servants. And how can we possibly forget Xi's zero COVID policy? It was a death knell for Chinese economy. Xi's policies have driven the Chinese economy to the brink of collapse, and this, it appears, has not gone down too well with the Chinese Communist Party. A key meeting was held on the 31st of October. The Chinese Premier, Li Qiang, was made the head of the Central Finance Commission, or China's top finance body. Ideally, Xi Jinping is supposed to be chairing this body. So what explains the shift in power? Now, Beijing wants you to believe that it is collective leadership, that Xi Jinping is sharing power. But the truth is far from it. And the truth is that Xi Jinping is losing power. He has failed to deliver on the principal doctrine of communism, economic welfare. And he is being forced to give up control for a man who positioned himself on the lines of Mao Zedong, whose policies reflected total control, absolute dictatorship. For a man who won a record third term in office, this new development, an unexpected appointment, pointing towards a possible internal rift. We are not surprised. China's property bubble has burst. Banks have been driven to the edge. The economy is on its knee, and Xi Jinping is being made to pay the price. The Chinese President Xi Jinping is falling from his pedestal. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.